Hey everybody and welcome back. This is Leap a Lot, and today we're going to get back into some Final Fantasy VI. If you missed the last video, I'll have a link for you up above. In this one, we're going to finally get to one of the most beloved parts of Final Fantasy VI, the Opera House. This video will run a little bit long, and I do have a confession to make. I'll get to that in a little bit. There's a lot to see though, so let's get moving. I've loaded us straight into the Opera House. No need to show the walk here from Jadur. As we get in, we meet the Impresario. This is the man who dropped a letter from the wandering gambler Setzer. You know, the guy who wants to kidnap an opera star and make her his bride. Right. Well, Locke has a plan. We're going to use the opera as a chance to stage a meetup with Setzer. We just need to snag him, somehow. The Impresario is worried that things could go horribly wrong, so he just wants to run away and ignore all of these bad possibilities. No problem though, we have Celis. We've already heard that Celis looks remarkably, unnaturally similar to Maria. We can just, stuff Maria in a treasure chest or a closet or something and have Celis take her place. Never you mind the fact that Maria is a trained opera singer and Celis is a Magitech knight. These things don't matter because we have the power of plot on our side. Well, we've had Celis along with us for quite a while now, right? So we have a pretty good feel for her. There's no way she would agree to this kind of stunt. Right? No, you're wrong. Celis is flustered, but she heads to the dressing room to start preparing immediately. Locke kind of sneaks up and listens through the door and laughs, I guess, at her attempts. We're not off to a good start here. That's alright though. She's gonna have, 2, maybe 3 minutes to practice. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Right? Tell me it'll be fine. Oh, but wait. Who is this? Ultros waits in the wings to mess with us, but we just walk away. No one cares about the poor octopus. Next up is all cinematics. I have a horrendous singing voice, or I would take a stab at my own beautiful rendition of this song. If you are listening and not watching, I really advise you to consider pausing for now and maybe coming back when you're able to listen and watch at the same time. I can't do it justice and I don't just want to talk over it. So I'll be back with you in a few minutes here. Hey, would you look at that? We have control again. I dare you to try to match up the syllables to the words in this song, by the way. It takes some serious syllabic gymnastics to even try. Anyway, we have Locke here. Time to go check on Celis. We charge down the stairs because who cares about waiting for the interlude? Looks like that letter from Ultros is gone too. What the heck? Inside the dressing room, Locke finds Celis already in full costume. There's some blinking, some shy looking away. Locke turns red. That's the berserk colors, look out, Celis. But no, he's just a shy boy, trying to pay a compliment to this sprightly figure of beauty. We hear Celis kind of catching on that Locke is helping her as a way to pay penance for his own failures. Locke deflects, and then we prepare to take the stage. This next scene requires me to select the correct input and do some walking, but that's about it. Prepare to be blown away, though, by the 1994 audio technology. I actually think it's really impressive what they did here. Time for me to fade out, though. All right, we're back with Locke here. Great spot for him to watch from right off the stage. Pretty fancy. But wait a second, what's this? A letter from Ultros. He's going to jam up our opera. Wonder how he plans to do that. We better tell the impresario. This is where the whole opera starts to get a little bit silly, but first we have a conflict on the stage. I'll let that play out, and then I'll get right back with you. All right, for real, that's another part where you can't really reconcile the text on the screen with the audio that plays behind it. Maybe it makes more sense in Japanese. So how is Ultros going to ruin the opera? Well, maybe that 4-ton weight might do it. Yeah, we've decided it's time to return to the silliness, I guess. But oh my gosh, it's going to take him 5 minutes to drop that weight. How convenient that it's so heavy and yet so precariously placed. The impresario tells us to head to the man on the right side of the stage. Is that stage right? Or never mind. So the guy in the room tells us the impresario told him to have us press the switch on the far right. How the heck did the impresario tell him anything? Look at the impresario there, just vibing. What a jerk. And if he can teleport or whatever, why couldn't he just pull the lever himself? I swear, this has got to be the biggest JRPG plot hole since the entire story of the Kingdom Hearts series. We scamper back across the balcony and over to the other side. When we get to the other end of the balcony, we reach possibly the worst part of this run. We need to navigate these rafters without touching a single enemy. I have never in my life completed this in my first attempt on a low-level game, and that will not change here today. When you lose, Ultros pushes the weight down and we get a game over. Thankfully, all that actually means is that we'll pop up on the world map just outside the Opera House to try again. You only get a couple more tries, and the impresario talks about how the performance yesterday was terrible. I mean, how is Celis even alive? If that weight was, I don't know, a white-haired enemy with a sword, we'd have a whole new theme song by now. The nice thing about approaching the challenge from this section on is that we don't ever have to redo the opera part. It skips right to the rafters section. The not so nice part about this is that we still have to do the rafters section. And here's where my confession comes in. 2 of them, actually. I messed up in my recording. I replayed this part again and again and again, and I just kept getting caught by the rats. And finally, by the time I actually made it through, I got all the way to the next town after all the cutscenes, and I saved. And I went to go check my raw video file, and I had not been recording. So, despite my intention at the beginning of the series, I did use save states to get myself through this part. I do have a bunch of spare time, otherwise I wouldn't attempt this challenge at all. I got through about 15 or so load screens before I gave up and I used those save states, so what you'll see here is I'm going to load in from one of them, and we'll continue from there. I apologize for that. I hope you'll find it in your heart of hearts to continue watching, regardless of my shame. When we knock Ultros down, we kind of, ruin the entire opera. Both the heroes are kind of flattened, I guess. I don't actually know if they're alive. I'm not sure. But you know who's not dead? We are not dead. Not yet. Locke will claim Maria slash Celis's hand. What an obvious and terrible ham. The impresario is disgusted by our terrible acting. It's not like he helped at all. Ultros rises to the challenge, and the opera will continue with what they have here, though, I guess. We kick off into some special boss music. This is a jam, huh? Well, this battle against Ultros isn't so hard. I was hoping to have a specific rage for Gao for this part, but I managed to scrape through without it. Our general strategy here is pretty simple. Gao rages Primordite to stop Ultros. Like many early bosses, Ultros isn't immune to the status effect, but he will shrug it off after a minute. And since Gao isn't controllable, there's no guarantee he even uses the Numbblade attack. Other than that, we want to use Dispatch with Cyan to do the majority of our damage. Locke will just end up being a healing guy in this fight. I actually tried something different here, and it 100% did not pay off. I used regen to try to keep Cyan and Locke's health topped off. Ultros uses an attack that deals damage over time, and I wanted to try and outpace that damage, but it turns out that was a waste of MP. I could have just used Bolt 2 with Locke to speed the fight up, but oh well. I wouldn't know if I didn't try. Ultros also has an ability that turns everyone into an imp, but since we all have white capes equipped, we are completely immune to that status effect. Saves us a lot of time. Overall, not the worst boss fight ever, but it was a bit of a slog. That's kind of a trend though, if you haven't noticed yet. So hey, here we are. We fought off Ultros, and oh yeah, Setzer. The whole reason we came here was to meet up with that weirdo. He swoops down from the rafters. Wait a minute, why didn't we see him up there? Turns out Celis also had her entire battle getup on underneath her opera wardrobe. Interesting. Setzer scoops her up and escapes the opera house, and the Impresario does his best to try to get a handle on the situation and turn it into part of the show. Good damage control. We watch the orchestra pick up the tune as we fade out of the scene, and onto the airship. Now this is a nice little room we have here, other than the exposed working machinery as a centerpiece, unless you're into that kind of thing. Well, we made it inside the airship, or at least one of us did. Hopefully everybody is just hiding inside Celis's cape like a trench coat, or... oh wait, nope, yep, there we go. Probably just hiding in the machinery there. Locke and crew pop up from within the bowels of the ship, and we learn from Celis that Setzer will be back momentarily. Next up comes the hard part, making friends. Setzer should be back pretty soon, and he is not pleased when he arrives. We do what we can quickly to convince him that we need his help to get to Vector, the next area of the game. Vector, huh? Even sounds kind of evil. Well, Setzer isn't interested. Celis is not Maria, and Setzer doesn't run a charity transportation company. He doesn't want to hear about what we want, but we have to try. I especially love how Gao just stands there and says nothing, and Cyan is like, I'm from Doma. We're not off to a great start here with Setzer, but I think the game is trying to make us believe that he's another one of those people that just is kind of caught up with the Empire, or maybe he's just looking out for number one first. Let's see what we get here. So the Empire's made Setzer a rich man, but we need him to stop caring only about number one. Everyone makes their pleas, and Setzer questions it. The Empire? Evil? How could this be? In a shocking, strange twist, Setzer tells us that he will join the Returners, but only if Celis agrees to marry him. She's even more stunning than Maria, it turns out. Locke throws a little fit, but Celis agrees, which kind of makes the fit worse. Celis has some conditions, though. We're going to make it a game of chance. Setzer is a gambler, after all. We'll decide it with a coin toss. Heads, he joins us. Tails, she marries him. Well, what do you think will happen? Do you think we'll lose one of our main characters to just disappear off the face of the map, set aside all of her vengeance, and just quietly become some housewife somewhere in the middle of nowhere, tending to Setzer's, I don't know, poker table or whatever? Yeah, probably not, huh? Of course it's heads. Even better, Celis uses a double-sided coin. It's really unfortunate that we don't have Sabin and Edgar with us right now, because there would be a scene if they were both here. It turns out that Celis uses Edgar's double-headed coin, and we also learned that Edgar used that same coin when he and Sabin were trying to decide who would sacrifice their freedom to stay and lead Figaro. Edgar had no intention of leaving. He was always going to stay behind and let Sabin be free. I really love that little scene, but there's no room for it based on our level restrictions. Anyway, back to the game. Setzer is actually thrilled that we cheated him. He loves it. And this actually also produces one of my favorite quotes from this entire game. My life is a chip in your pile, ante up. Towards the end here, we have a nice little flyover scene. You can kind of get a feeling for just how big and oppressive the facility we're heading to really is. We'll get to see more of that in the next episode, or perhaps the one after. Today, though, I'm actually going to wrap things up as we approach. If you made it this far, I'd like to say thanks for stopping by. I'm sorry I betrayed all your hopes and dreams by using save states, but I really didn't want to just cut out half of the video on a mistake. If you have any questions about what you might have missed, or if you want to call me names, feel free to do so in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see some more Final Fantasy goodness, consider subbing for more episodes. As it stands, I'm off. I hope to catch you in the next one.